You know? And I've been seeing y'all memes and stuff. You be making memes. I see the memes. I see them now. Some of that stuff is funny. Some of it's funny. But I haven't addressed any of this publicly, but I just want to say this very clearly. I don't have to do with Puffy, so y'all can stop all them memes. I can stop all of that. I ain't been nowhere near no damn free golf. Listen, I do enough of my own. Don't be putting me in other people's.
Written. Nobody needs to worry about me trying to get personal revenge on Diddy. I already put 3 long-term strategies in place that make sure he can never come after me or anyone close to me. First, I directly contacted the legal teams representing the victims. The real reason his not walking free isn't what the public sees. It's the cases that stayed buried behind the scene for years. I helped secure legal funding for 7 victims who had remained silent for a long time, and brought in some of the most elite criminal defense attorneys in the country to represent them properly. Second, I quietly stepped in and took control of every possible business opportunity he had lined up for life after prison. This wasn't impulsive. I planned it nearly 2 years ahead of time. By the time sentencing came and he still believed release was possible, every potential partner had already walked away. Third, it's not just about evidence. I made sure there were multiple layers of protection. Everything has backups. What I uncovered wasn't a single secret. It was a minefield buried for over 2 decades. We exposed details spanning nearly 30 years through direct testimony from victims themselves. More than a dozen people were interviewed, people who were manipulated, threatened, or violated. If that sounds extreme, understand this. He spent decades destroying lives. All I'm doing is ensuring accountability follows him for a few more years. I'm not scared of his associates. I'm not intimidated by threats. I know he's still sitting there imagining a comeback, but the reality is simple. That comeback is never happening.
Dating J-Lo, Will Smith and Jada tried to pick her up on a threesome and you were going to beat up Will Smith. Is that true?
You really heard that?
Well, yeah, I watched it on the internet. You're telling me I can't believe everything I read?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Written. For a long time, some of the most influential names in entertainment operated behind an unseen barrier. Not because there were no questions, but because pushing too hard against the system carried consequences most people weren't prepared to face. That long-standing silence is now beginning to crack as a deliberately crafted documentary enters public view, not driven by chaos or rumor, but by focus and intent. As attention circles back to familiar centers of power and renewed examination begins, one uncomfortable question rises above everything else. How much stayed hidden not because it was invisible, but because silence guarded it, reinforced it, and allowed it to remain untouched for far too long?
He should have never slapped Chris. I'm not watching the movie. It's not happening.
You don't understand. Do you understand why he slapped Chris? Did you see in that moment from probably what he was dealing with?
What was he dealing with? What the f was he dealing with?
Something made him slap his brother.
No, something didn't make him snap anything. He laughed at that bad joke that Chris said like everybody else. And then Jada looked at him and it was like the Manchurian Candidate.
Not the Manchurian.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just saying. Real life street star. Know what time it is.
Now, I have to ask before we get out, because I don't want to forget it. Your earrings just reminded me of Black Power, Black Excellence, and I just need your take on it, because Emancipation comes out in 1 hour. Came out December 9th, which is today's the 9th,
That's
right?
such a fucking below the belt fucking question.
No, but I just got
It's the only below the belt question that you asked because you already know what's gonna happen. Don't front. We've been down there. Fuck Will Smith.
No, wait.
He can kiss my ass.
Wait.
He should have never slapped Chris. I'm not watching the movie.
Damn it.
It's not happening.
You don't understand. Do you understand why he slapped Chris? Did you see in that moment from probably what he was dealing with?
What was he dealing with?
Shit, I don't know.
What the fuck was he dealing with?
Something made him slap his brother.
No, something didn't make him snap anything. He laughed at that badass joke that Chris said like every fucking body else. And then Jada looked at him and it was like the Manchurian Candidate.
Not the Manchurian. God damn it.
That's what the fuck happened.
I thought there's a legion of women who said, I'm glad for Will fighting for his woman.
Yeah, because they still want to believe that sham of a fucking marriage is real.
Oh. Well, there you go.
He ain't never gonna be Tupac, and she proved it when she fucked August Alsina.
Ooh, man. Yeah.
They're both bisexual. They do weird things in their house, and young men have left their house fucking screaming to get away from them in their mentorship. Meek Mills. Bashir Gray.
Rewritten. 4 years. Hollywood depended on a predictable formula. Say nothing, stay in place, and wait for the spotlight to shift elsewhere. That approach protected influence and controlled narratives until it finally started collapsing under its own weight. Now, a documentary arrives at a moment when silence no longer works and distraction no longer holds. It marks a turning point where avoidance fails and unresolved questions refuse to remain buried any longer.
It all started, we was in Atlanta. And this story starts when I'm with Puff and he's in the exotic bookstores and he's doing shopping, right? He's shopping, getting his stuff and everything like that. So, this is the first time I was ever in an exotic bookstore with Puff. So, I'm giving him his space. He's taking things off the shelves and stuff like that because they gave him a brown paper bag. When they gave him a brown paper bag, he was just putting stuff in there. So I said, damn, he got to go put it on the counter and, show everybody what he's getting. So as he's going, I'm just looking at the places where he's picking stuff from. So there's one part he picked up some things from up here on my left side. And then he picked like quite a few of them down. I'm like, okay. He put them in the bag. So when I went by there and I looked up there and it said butt plug. And I was like, hey, yo, I was messing with him because people don't understand, we was like friends. So I'm still going to tease him. I'm still going to mess with him and everything like that. I could do that. It wasn't just no security thing. So I say, yo, what are you getting this for? And it said butt plugs. And he was like, yo, can I do my shopping by myself? I said, yeah, you can do it by yourself, brother. And he started walking and everything like that. So when he got to, I just waited at the counter. So when he got to the counter, he didn't even have to show the guy nothing. He just gave the guy a wad of money. I mean, like he gave the guy a stack, something like this. And Puff wasn't the dude that carried no 20s and no 50s and nothing like that. And I mean, like he just said, boom. And we walked out the store. So we had to leave Atlanta and go to North Carolina for a show. You understand? And it was him, this rapper, Sarah, and this other girl. We all got on a G5 jet, and we flew to G4 jet, and we flew to North Carolina. So,
by allowing the absence of response to become a story itself, focus shifts toward how delays slowly transform from hesitation into protection. When a system survives by repeatedly avoiding accountability, the moment it finally speaks is never neutral. It disrupts years of carefully maintained control. And if silence once functioned as power for decades, its breakdown leaves only one unavoidable question. What was that silence really protecting all along?
They were in the room, and they would go in the room with another couple, right? And I've seen some things happen in the jacuzzi. Like when I'm the only one could go to the room 9 times out of 10. When Puff was the one who, was in the presidential suite, I'm the only one allowed. I gotta watch the door. No one can get into that door. I'm the only one that had the pass key or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes you would hear a boom, 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 a thump or whatever the situation is and stuff like that. Yo, what's up? Everything good? And sometimes they would open the door. I'm right there by the door. Sometimes you see things you don't want to see.
Hey, did they ever try to get you involved? Or
not at all.
Offer you?
Not at all. Puff did it one time, but that's in my book. When he was coming from Dallas, he had the snow bunnies. And I reneged on that. Nah, I'm good.
Hey, did you see any celebrities Puffy did any of that stuff with? The swinger stuff with?
Yeah, I did.
Tell me about that.
I think I told you about that. One time, him and Sarah and this young girl flew from Atlanta. And they, and flying from Atlanta, we had this artist with us, right? And we were staying in the presidential suite at the hotel. And this particular artist and Puff, they told me, don't let nobody come in the room. So I said, all right, cool. So I propped my chair by the room door.
What remained concealed was never a single moment or isolated incident. It was a recurring structure. Relationships shaped by status and closeness were repeatedly dismissed as coincidence. Influence existed openly, yet it was rarely examined beyond surface-level success, access, and visibility. Familiarity slowly replaced scrutiny, and repetition dulled curiosity. This isn't about direct accusations. It's about environment and culture, how patterns fade once they are labeled routine, and how the most dangerous blind spots emerge when people are conditioned to accept what they see as normal instead of asking why it keeps happening.
The Emancipation, how the fuck you gonna play in a movie called Emancipation and you can't emancipate yourself?
Ooh. Bars.
Cause you trapped in a hole. My nigga, you trapped in a hole. This bitch clowning you day after day after day after day. And once again, I hate saying these things because their children are dope. But Jaden's kind of MIA. And considering that he emancipated from their household at 16 and refused to come back even to do family interviews. You know?
Yeah.
Willow's just kind of, she's dope. Too much shit happened in that fucking house. Too much shit happened in that fucking house. And meanwhile, I go to jail for defending my child and these niggas don't even get a CPS fucking visit for the kind of shit they kids see. You know?
There you go.
So yeah, I'll watch the movie when, I'll watch Emancipation when he emancipates himself from the hell that he lives in, that he tries to call marriage with that woman who still wished Tupac was alive.
The closer someone stands to influence, the higher the cost of asking hard questions early. When proximity delivers opportunity first and consequences surface later, the problem isn't timing at all. It's deciding who is left to absorb the fallout once the story finally shifts.
But enjoy the film. Buy lots of popcorn. I ain't supporting shit he fucking though. He's a bad representation for black men. He is literally the epitome of a ballless man. I'm sick and tired of people making our black men look weak. I'm sick and tired of that shit because I don't know no nigga that would put up with the shit that bitch done put him through. Now you could justify staying because you ain't want to cut up the money because she would have got the child support and the alimony, but the kids is grown. So if you staying now, it's either because you being blackmailed to stay or you too lazy to go. He housebroken. That don't fit right for a Philly nigga. But he did grow up in Overbrook though. He didn't technically grow up in West Philly. That was Jazzy Just Life he was writing about. He lived over there, not far from where Kobe Bryant grew up. That's the other side of City Avenue. He came up Overbrook, so they had big houses, and he wasn't at the playground get beat up. That was Jazzy Jeff.
Power almost never operates in isolation. It moves through proximity and influence. Those pulled into its orbit benefit slowly and quietly, while unseen risks build in the background. In systems like this, distance is never accidental. It's a calculated choice, shaped by awareness, strategy, and self-preservation, not coincidence.
So I'm gonna get into this Diddy documentary that's been going on, man. It's still number one as far as I know, man. I mean, I don't know how many millions of times this thing has been streamed, but this thing it's kind of crazy how big this thing actually is, because us that's been following for a really long time, kind of heard a lot of the stuff, man, but people are still going crazy for it, man. So what was your first reaction when you first seen it?
When I first seen it, I said, damn, they stole my whole damn idea. You understand? Because I was talking to the producers, and before I talked to the executive director, and the producers knew, I was telling them what I was bringing to the table. Because I was trying to get a deal for me, Kirk, and Tim all together. Like a package deal. I wanted to try to get like 50,000.
Emancipation. How are you going to star in a movie called Emancipation when you can't even free yourself? You trapped my __. You're stuck in a hole. This __ been clowning you day after day after day. And I hate even bringing kids into it because they're adults now, but Jaden has basically disappeared. He emancipated himself from that household at 16 and refused to return, even for family interviews. Willow? She's talented, no doubt, but too much __ went down in that house. Way too much. And meanwhile, I go to jail for protecting my child, but these __ don't even get a CPS visit for the kind of things their kids were exposed to. So yeah, I'll watch Emancipation when he actually emancipates himself from the hell he calls a marriage with a woman who still wishes Tupac were alive.
So I told him what we was bringing to the table, who was going to tell the story, how they was going to tell their story. I didn't know exactly what they were going to say, but I knew Tim grew up with Puff, so he can get the childhood thing. So I'm going and telling him the whole angle in which I would like for this to go. You know what I'm saying? What we was bringing to the table. I didn't know how they was going to do it, but I was saying, this is what we're going to bring to the table. Tim could start off with the childhood part of it because they grew up together. That's Tim Patterson. Also, he was the one who was working at Uptown. He was a executive over there, A&R and all that other stuff. He went to Island Records. He used to work with over there at Arista, the whole 9 yards. Tim is the one who had the Lost Boys. If you remember the Lost Boys, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Tim was the manager of them. That was his group and everything like that. So Tim had a lot of inside and a lot of stuff to do with Puff. I had a lot of other people I could have brought to the table too. Eddie F, who taught Puff how to work the board and everything like that. Just Eddie F, Heavy D, and the boys DJ. I was going to try to get Eddie and some other people like that. But it fell through because the lady was telling me what somebody else didn't give me or what somebody else didn't pay me. And she was being disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? I thought she was a white lady. I'm finding out she's a sister.
Long-form investigation unsettles an industry built on short attention spans by refusing to let stories expire on cue. When thorough documentation replaces casual dismissal, the conflict moves beyond facts and into control. Who has the authority to shape the permanent record, and who is finally losing the ability to rewrite, delay, or quietly erase what no longer serves them?
Diddy has a long list of victims. You got Cassie, Kurt Burrows, Shine, Little Rod, Mark Curry. You know what I'm saying? The list goes on of all the people who he's did wrong. Out of all the people you've heard of and all the stories that you heard and the stuff that you know about, who do you think is like Diddy's biggest victim?
Who I think Diddy's biggest victim is?
Yep.
The mothers.
Okay.
Big's mama. Wolf's mother. The people that lost their sons. They could never get that back. Especially with those are the two people that changed his life. Put him on that pedestal to be a great producer. So I believe the mothers in them that lost their sons are the biggest victims of it all.
Man, that's deep, man. That's crazy, man. You know, because I mean, you know, you brought up Big and the mom, and in the documentary they even talk about Diddy not paying for the funeral, acting like he's gonna pay it, but then billing it to Biggie. What was your thoughts on that? When you seen that, were you surprised when you seen that?
No, I wasn't surprised, you know, because they said that when Big died, he built the estate. He took it out of Big's his budget. You understand what I'm saying? So I wonder who got the life insurance policy. It was crazy.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.
A very public separation signals a clear shift from years of restraint to deliberate boundary setting. In today's media landscape, a denial is no longer just a reaction. It's a sign that the narrative has crossed a critical line. When delivered calmly and openly, it creates distance without escalating conflict. But timing still matters. When separation only happens after silence becomes a liability, it sharpens a question even further. What does it really cost to speak early before discretion turns into something far more damaging?
Yeah.
Well, what I said is that isn't it weird that the government was so interested in Diddy's baby oil that they took 1,000 bottles away from his house? If the government took 1,000 bottles of baby oil and somebody had things what appeared to be baby oil, and then you have to listen to the prosecutor. He said that they seized 1,000 bottles what allegedly to be baby oil. Allegedly to be baby oil. So that's telling people that it wasn't baby oil. And people think that was baby oil, they out their mind. I don't believe it was baby oil. Yo, bro, when they went up in there, they knew what they was gonna find. They knew what was ever in that baby oil or that those bottles that appeared to be baby oil, they knew about that at first. You gotta realize 9 times out of 10, that individual that got caught at the airport, that was supposed to be their carrier, told them what they was doing and what they had. I wouldn't put him past that he told them everything. So when they went up in there, they knew they had to take whatever was out there, and that thing that appeared to be baby oil, they took that. They got to test every last one of them. Let's see how much, let's see how many of those come back to be baby oil. Bro, listen to me. Costco don't sell that much baby oil. Where you know sell that much baby oil?
Yeah, I don't know any store that sell that much baby oil. I know Costco, they came out and said that they don't even sell baby oil.
My sentiments exactly.
But you personally, right, what do you believe was in the baby oil?
If you ever seen a massage parlor being raided, and they walking out the people, do they take the massage oil with them when they go? No, they just walk out the people who are.
A documentary reshapes a conversation by transforming fragments into structure and chaos into sequence. By organizing scattered moments into a clear timeline with context, 50 Cent redirects attention away from speculation and toward documented patterns. This isn't a verdict. It's a recalibration, forcing focus onto why certain questions were never pursued, why others quietly disappeared, and how avoidance was allowed to masquerade as closure for far too long.
Let's get right into it. Diddy, he got indicted. You called it, man. A few weeks ago, you was on the platform and you said that he was going to get arrested in September.
Yeah, man. Anybody who in law enforcement or people know the law, when Homeland Security ran up into his house, people will tell you, or people knew that it was just a matter of time that they was going to indict him and bring him in to see the judge, bro. It was just a matter of time. I just figured out with the grand jury and their different sessions and stuff like that, and then what one of the witnesses told me, I just figured it out that it was going to be around September that they were going to bring him in, bro. People might not understand. It's difficult when you see a brother that has so much promise become an icon as far as in the music business and stuff that he did, to turn around and, just tear his whole life down. But it's all because of his mentors and the people that trained him and taught him the music business. You know, it's all about the people who trained and taught him the music business, because Puff wasn't, he wasn't born a monster. You know what I'm saying? He was made into a monster, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? He was made into a monster from the stuff that happened to him, the things that he had to do. You understand? The things that he had to do to become who he is. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like this, brother. You never like something so much that you can't do without, and you never be willing to do anything to get where you want to be at. You got to have principles. You got to have morals. You got to keep with that stuff. And in that music business, a lot of that stuff get thrown out the window. You understand? And that's what happened to him. He started doing the things to other people that was done to him. To keep it frank, he was doing the things to other people that was done to him. And it is what it is. You got to know better. And if you know better, you will do better. When he was in New York City, he was like that gecko from the Geico commercial. Then he turned and started going, when he lived in Cali and Miami, he turned into Godzilla. I would see him talk about how he using drugs. He was never like that. Smoking cigarettes, smoking weed and everything like that. He turned into something that you could consider a monster, bruh. Then he started doing things to people.
Long-form investigation disrupts an industry built on short attention spans by refusing to let stories expire on cue. When detailed documentation replaces casual dismissal, the conflict moved beyond facts and into control. Who gets to shape the permanent record? And who is finally losing the power to rewrite, delay, or quietly erase what no longer benefits them? The reaction to renewed scrutiny exposes how uneven accountability really is. Some individuals face immediate consequences, while others remain shielded by reputation, legacy, or long-standing alliances. The current wave of attention, and the ripples that follow, highlight how protection often operates as a built-in feature of the system rather than a personal favor. This isn't about secret coordination. It's about design. And when accountability only activates after silence stops being effective, it raises a difficult question. Can a system that waits that long honestly claim to be fair or consistent? Silence is almost never accidental. It's incentivized. Advancement often depends on access, alignment, and predictability, while resistance brings isolation and loss, making quiet a safer investment than truth. This documentary explores how restraint turns into a form of currency, traded for opportunity and reinforced by fear of destabilizing the system itself. When the price of speaking outweighs the reward of honesty, staying still becomes a logical choice. And if transparency threatens survival, the deeper question remains: how open was that system ever meant to be? This story doesn't end with a denial or the release of a single project. It marks the start of a broader reckoning. What stayed hidden for years is now confronted by records, shared memory, and sustained public attention. Different figures occupy different positions within the same structure of influence, resistance, and proximity, revealing how silence once stabilized the industry and how its fracture now creates instability. The central question remains unanswered. Once silence is broken, does truth finally emerge, or does the system simply adapt, developing new methods to protect itself from real accountability?